For nearly 2 decades, pros have been shaping the sound of modern records with one reverb in particular. And in this video, I'll reveal why so many pros are obsessed with what they consider the gold standard of reverbs and how you can steal its iconic magic inside of your own mixes today. And to take what you'll discover in this video and start pumping out mixes people blow up your DMs over, I made you a cheat sheet I probably shouldn't be giving away. It's called the Effects Decoder Cheat Sheet. It's the unfair shortcut to unlocking mixes that sit shoulder to shoulder with the ones that have inspired you and make people stop and ask how the hell you're doing it. Grab the free Effects Decoder cheat sheet below, and it'll also lock you into the Instant Mix System Masterclass waitlist. So when I first started making records out of a spare den in my parents' house nearly 2 decades ago, I used to flip through magazines and forums, hunting for the secrets pros use to make the records that I love. Over time, my dream list started stacking up fast with hundreds of mythical boxes that I thought I would never see in real life, let alone even own. But years later, when I started working for the world's largest online school for rock and metal producers, it opened the door for me to work under my mentor, Bo Rochelle. And one of the advantages of working with Bo was working through so many different studios and gaining an inside look at so many different sessions. And what was once a huge list of gear actually started getting pretty compact over time. But there was one piece of gear in particular that kept showing up no matter the session. That piece of gear was the Bricasti M7. Now, what's fascinating about the Bricasti M7 is that in the time when it was released, digital mixing was well underway.
When I first heard about the Bricasti M7, I thought, wow, another hardware reverb. How are they going to sell that thing in the age of plugins?
And one of the first types of outboard gear that pros were looking to use inside of the box was reverbs. But once Bricasti design founders Brian Zollner and Casey Dowdell started getting the M7 into the hands of pros like Chris Alge, Andrew Sheps, Manny Mariquin, and countless others, it became an instant hit.
They brought one by for me to check out, and I just freaked over it. You know, it's just stuck in the back of my mind that how much I liked it and how natural it sounded. Definitely one of the best echoes I'd ever heard.
What has made the Bricasti M7 a modern classic and so magical are the reverbs having a very lifelike living character that blends seamlessly with the source material.
This does something I've never heard another reverb do. How it marries the source audio to what it's bringing to the party, the reverb itself and the hall and the room.
Now, owning a physical Bricasti M7 is no easy feat. It can set you back as much as a used car.
Oh my God!
But luckily for us, for almost a decade, mixers like Andrew Sheps, Jesse Ray Ernster, Ermin Havidovich, and countless others have been using an in-the-box solution crafted by one of the most talented and influential DSP designers of all time, Matt Hill. Matt Hill's journey into reverb started when his university tutor challenged him to make his office sound like a cathedral. So he got a bunch of his gear and he recorded IRs at a local cathedral. And over his Christmas break, built a convolution reverb plugin from scratch. And in doing all this, impressed his tutor enough to get a smile. Now from those days since, Matt has gone and started Liquid Sonics. And Liquid Sonics 7th Heaven is one of the most praised reverbs from Matt Hill that has managed to honor and emulate the Bricasti M7 hardware, but also take it to a whole new level thanks to the possibilities of modern DSP.
I had used a Bricasti M7, as I said in the past, and it was only like a couple of times and really enjoyed it. 7th Heaven just sounded like that to me.
Now you might be wondering what makes this particular emulation arguably the definitive in-the-box go-to for the legendary Bricasti M7 sound. And that reason is Matt Hill's Fusion IR technology that powers 7th Heaven. So most convolution reverbs are powered by an impulse response, and that impulse response is just a single snapshot of a particular space. Whereas Matt Hill's Fusion IR process is a little bit different, which is best described by Matt Hill himself. A single impulse response can only capture the state of the reverb at a single point in time, but a great reverb algorithm will never produce the same response twice. A Fusion IR is sampled differently and multiple times, so you get lots of snapshots of the source reverb in different states that can be processed and modulated before fusing them together. Hence the name. This brings back that rich dynamic reverb that sits perfectly in the mix, retaining much more character of the source than is possible with static convolution. Fusion IR offers early and late components. Gaining control over these two crucial elements is key to how a reverb sits in a mix. The best way to think of it is Fusion IR essentially gives the impulse response a heartbeat. That's why 7th Heaven isn't just a snapshot copy of a Bricasti M7. Now when you first pull up 7th Heaven, it looks pretty simple and standard. You have control over the decay time, the mix blend, and the gain. You get 12 reverb types, but you'll notice some of them have a 1 or 2 at the end of the title. The 1 is for the original Bricasti M7 algorithm. 2 is a newer algorithm with additional tail modulation and a bright roll-off filter. And the nonlinear option is a short reverb with a non-decaying region. followed by an exponential decay. And right under the reverb categories are the spaces you can select. And then right beneath that, you have very low frequency reverb control. Now this is pretty cool, as the original Bricasti M7 creates a reverb up to 200 Hz, which creates a fullness and body to the reverb. This control simply lets you adjust how much of that reverb range you want in your reverb. To the right of this control is the early and late reflection slider. And to the right of the interface, you have your meters for referencing. But what really takes things up a notch is the hidden little arrow right here. Click that and we open up the advanced controls. This is where the real magic of Seventh Heaven happens. You get control over the early reflections, which is the part of the reverb that makes a room feel real, and every reflection pattern from the original Bricasti M7 has also been captured. With patterns, smaller numbers feel like you're in tight, intimate rooms, whereas higher numbers push you into huge reflective spaces. Then you have your pre-delay control. This lets you control the gap between the dry sound and the reverb kicking in. And you can control this from 0 milliseconds all the way up to half a second. The cool part too is if you click the little icon below, you can even sync it to your session's tempo so your reverb breathes with the groove. And on top of that, you can shape the tones of those reflections, rolling out the highs or opening them up for extra sparkle, just like the hardware. You also get full control over the tail of the reverb. These controls allow you to have your highs and lows fade out at different speeds due to the frequencies, just like how real rooms behave. And one feature that's brilliant that really helps clean up the reverb is that there's a built-in ducker. This way the reverb ducks out of the way when the source plays, then swells back in when the phrase is done. This is going to give you instant space and clarity without having to juggling with any sidechaining on compressors. And the master equalizer gives you the same ability that pros love having to sculpt the reverb to fit the track perfectly. Seventh Heaven doesn't just copy the Bricasti M7, it gives you pro-level control that even the hardware doesn't have, while staying authentic to the sound that made the Bricasti M7 legendary. Now with adding a few instances of Seventh Heaven, we go from this to this.
You always said you tried new things. Always said you would eat anything. I guess that's not what it seems. Nothing can take pineapple from me. I can't let go. I guess I'll eat alone. Pineapples on my mind. Just don't waste my time. Sweet and salty makes the money. You probably like anchovies. I'm shouting to the sky. My pride is in this pie.
And if you want to start releasing mixes that make people wonder how the hell they're so huge and wide, grab the free effects cheat sheet below. It's your unfair edge to 3-dimensional mixes and your entry into the waitlist for my Instant Mix System Masterclass. So now you know exactly how you can steal the same Bricasti magic pros have been using for nearly 2 decades with Liquid Sonic's Seventh Heaven. But a killer reverb is only one piece of the puzzle, which is why you need to watch this next video, where I reveal the genius-free tools pros have secretly been obsessed with for years to achieve those hard-hitting mixes we all love.